Welcome to this expert-level training on Microsoft 365 administration. Today, we are going to focus entirely on the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. I will be your guide as we explore how to strategically configure the core objects that drive and secure organizational collaboration, teams, channels, and policies. Let's dive in. Let's begin by understanding our primary workspace, the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. As an IT professional, you cannot simply let collaboration run wild. You need a structured environment. This portal is your central management hub for all things Teams chat, meetings, calls, and app integrations. To even access this area, you must hold a highly privileged role, such as a global administrator or a dedicated Teams administrator. Why is this important? Because centralized management is the only way to enforce organizational governance, maintain compliance, and optimize the user experience at scale. Through this interface, you will configure and oversee the core objects of Teams, specifically the teams themselves, their underlying channels, and the policies that govern user behavior. On a deeper level, remember that this admin center doesn't operate in a vacuum. It acts as the enforcement layer, tightly integrated with Microsoft Entra ID for identity and Microsoft 365 groups for resource allocation. Looking at the diagram on your screen, you can see a visual representation of the Teams Admin Center's core responsibilities. At the top, we have the Admin Center itself, which branches down into three primary pillars. The first is Teams Management, which fundamentally links to Microsoft 365 group creation and membership. The second pillar is Channel Configuration, which dictates how we organize workspaces and partition information. The third pillar is Policy Enforcement, which establishes the rules for user behavior, such as who can record meetings or use third-party apps. We will be exploring each of these three nodes in detail throughout this training, as they are the building blocks of a secure and functional Teams environment. Moving to our first core object, let's talk about teams themselves. What exactly is a team in this context? It is an organizational unit designed to structure collaboration for specific groups of people. As an administrator, you need to understand the basics. Teams can be public, meaning anyone in the organization can join, or private, restricting access to invited members only. Why do we create them? We create teams to provide a dedicated, secure perimeter for departments, cross-functional projects, or specific workflows. How do you manage this? In the Admin Center, you have the power to define overarching team settings, manage membership lists, and configure those crucial privacy options. Now for the deep dive, you must understand the underlying architecture. A team is not just a chat room. It is built entirely on top of a Microsoft 365 group. When you or a user provisions a new team, the system automatically spins up an associated SharePoint document library, an Exchange group mailbox, and a shared calendar. Managing a team means managing that entire ecosystem. This flowchart illustrates the backend architecture I just mentioned. On the left, an administrator initiates the creation of a new team. Notice how the arrow points directly to a central node labeled Microsoft 365 Group. This is the identity and access engine for the team. From that central group, three distinct resources are automatically provisioned: the SharePoint document library for file storage, the Exchange group mailbox for email communications, and the shared calendar for scheduling. When you manage a team object in the Admin Center, you're actually governing access to this entire interconnected suite of Microsoft 365 resources. Now that we have a team, we need to structure the work inside it. That brings us to our second core object, channels. Channels are the dedicated subsections within a team where the actual day-to-day conversations, file sharing, and app interactions occur. The basics are simple. You organize channels by topic, project phase, or specific function. But why do we need them? Without channels, a team becomes a chaotic, unreadable stream of information. Channels prevent information overload and keep discussions tightly focused. How do you govern them? Through the Admin Center, you can configure channel moderation, dictate who is allowed to post, and manage tab integrations. For our deep dive, you must master the three distinct channel types. Standard channels are open to everyone in the team. Private channels are restricted to a specific subset of team members, and uniquely, they generate their own separate, secure SharePoint site to ensure data isolation. Finally, shared channels allow you to invite individuals or entire teams from both inside and outside your organization without adding them to the parent team. Let's review this diagram to visualize the channel hierarchy. At the top, we have the parent team. Branching down, we see the three channel types you can deploy. The standard channel on the left flows to a node indicating it is accessible by all team members. This is your default collaboration space. In the middle, The private channel branches to a node highlighting restricted membership and the creation of a separate, isolated SharePoint site for maximum security. On the right, the shared channel node demonstrates its unique ability to facilitate cross-collaboration, allowing you to seamlessly bring in internal departments or external partners without compromising the security of the broader parent team. Let's transition from structuring workspaces to governing behavior, starting with meeting policies. What are they? Meeting policies are the strict rules that dictate exactly which features are available to users during a Microsoft Teams meeting. Covering the basics, these policies control critical functions like whether a user can initiate a cloud recording, turn on live transcription, or allow anonymous external users to bypass the lobby. Why do we need such strict control? Because you must balance the need for user productivity with the organization's legal compliance, privacy standards, and even network bandwidth constraints. How is this achieved? As an admin, you create these policies in the Teams Admin Center and assign them to specific users or Microsoft Entra groups. Going deeper, you shouldn't use a one-size-fits-all approach. You can craft granular policies per department. For instance, you might configure a policy that allows project managers to record strategy sessions, while explicitly denying recording privileges to general staff or customer service reps to prevent accidental exposure of sensitive data. This visual demonstrates the power of targeted meeting policies. From the Teams Admin Center on the left, an administrator configures a specific meeting policy. Notice how the policy engine branches out based on user identity. Following the top path, when the policy evaluates a user in the executive group, it grants them full capabilities. Cloud recording is on and transcription is on. Conversely, following the bottom path for general staff, the exact same policy framework restricts those features, setting recording and transcription to OFF. This ensures that powerful meeting tools are only in the hands of authorized personnel. Next, we address how users interact in text through messaging policies. What is a messaging policy? It is an administrative rule set that controls chat features, channel messaging, and internal communication tools. The basics include the ability to enable or disable fun, informal features like GIFs, memes, and stickers, as well as critical features like external chat access. Why is this governance necessary? While GIFs might be great for team morale in a marketing department, they might be inappropriate or legally risky in a highly regulated financial or healthcare department. You need to maintain professional standards and compliance. How do you do it? Just like meeting policies, these are configured in the Admin Center and can be applied organization-wide or to specific, targeted user groups. For our deep dive, consider the compliance implications. In a legally strictly regulated environment, you can use a messaging policy to prevent users from deleting or editing their sent messages. This guarantees that your organization maintains a permanent, immutable audit trail of all communications. This sequence diagram illustrates real-time messaging policy enforcement. A user attempts to send a GIF or a sticker in a chat. This action immediately pings the Teams policy engine. The engine checks the user's assigned messaging policy. We see an alt block here representing the decision tree. If the user belongs to a regulated department, the policy triggers a block, and the Teams client disables the feature, preventing the GIF from sending. If, however, the user is in the creative department, the policy allows the action, and the feature functions normally. This happens instantly, ensuring seamless but secure user experiences. Our final core policy object focuses on extensibility, app permission policies. What are these? They are the strict rules determining exactly which third-party, custom-built, or non-Microsoft applications can be integrated into your Teams environment. At a basic level, admins use these policies to explicitly approve or block apps, controlling what shows up in the Teams App Store for your users. Why is this critical? Because unchecked app installation is a massive security vulnerability. App policies prevent unauthorized data access, mitigate malware risks, and help you completely eliminate shadow IT. How is it executed? You utilize comprehensive allow and block lists within the Admin Center to curate a safe app catalog. Diving deeper, app permission policies are a fundamental part of your data loss prevention strategy. When a user adds a third-party app to a channel, that app often requests access to tenant data. By blocking unverified apps, you ensure that corporate data cannot be secretly exfiltrated or mishandled by unapproved third-party connectors. Let's trace the lifecycle of an app installation request on this flowchart. When a user or team makes a third-party app request, it is immediately intercepted by the app permission policy engine. The engine checks its configured lists. If the app is on the block list, the path moves left, installation is denied, resulting in our ultimate goal: data exfiltration prevented. If the app is on the allow list, the path moves right, installation is approved, which then allows for secure integration into the team's client via tabs, bots, or connectors. This automated gatekeeping is vital for your security posture. To bring this all together, let's look at a real-world use case. Imagine your organization is launching Project Apollo, a highly confidential research and development initiative. You cannot rely on default settings. First, for the team setup, the administrator provisions a dedicated, private team, ensuring only explicitly invited scientists and executives have baseline access. Next, the channel setup. The admin creates standard channels for general R&D discussions, but crucially, creates a private channel exclusively for project leadership, generating an isolated SharePoint site for financial and patent documents. Finally, the policy setup. The admin creates and assigns a custom meeting policy that blocks anonymous external users from joining Apollo meetings, preventing corporate espionage. They also apply a custom messaging policy that disables message deletion, ensuring a perfect audit trail for patent compliance. The result, you have provided a frictionless collaboration space for the R&D team, while wrapping it in an impenetrable layer of administrative security. This diagram maps our Project Apollo architecture. Starting at the top, the project initiates the creation of a private team. The workspace is then divided. Standard channels cater to the general R&D staff, while a private channel is locked down for leadership only. To secure these spaces, custom policies are injected. The R&D staff are governed by a meeting policy that prevents anonymous joins, while leadership is bound by a messaging policy that prevents message deletion for compliance. Both of these strategic configurations funnel down into our ultimate objective at the bottom: secure, audited collaboration. To wrap up our training, let's summarize the best practices for governing these core objects. First, always adhere to the principle of least privilege. Only grant the team's administrator role to IT personnel who actively need to configure these settings. Second, utilize pilot testing. Before rolling out a restrictive messaging or meeting policy organization-wide, test it on a small, representative group to identify any unintended productivity blockers. Third, embrace lifecycle management. Teams and channels can quickly sprawl. Use the admin center to monitor inactive workspaces and implement expiration policies to automatically clean up your tenant. Fourth, documentation is key. Always record why a specific policy was created and which groups it targets, which is vital for compliance audits. Finally, engage in continuous monitoring. The Microsoft 365 Admin Center and Purview audit logs are your best friends. Regularly review them to track unexpected policy changes or unauthorized app requests. By mastering teams, channels, and policies, you control the heart of Microsoft 365 collaboration. Our final diagram illustrates the continuous governance lifecycle you must adopt. It is not a straight line, but a continuous loop. You begin on the left by planning your architecture. Next, you deploy the teams and channels based on organizational needs. Following that, you rigorously assign policies to govern behavior. But the job doesn't end there. You move into the monitoring and audit logs phase. The insights and security alerts you gather here feed directly back into how you plan your architecture for the next project or security update. This continuous feedback loop is the hallmark of an expert Microsoft 365 administrator.